Welcome, everybody, to another episode. Yes, another one of the Hit in the Turnbuckle podcast. This is your Monday Night Raw review. I'm your host, Andy Burrows. And as always, I am joined by my illustrious co-host, good friend and tag team partner, Mr. Adam Cousins. Adam, how are you, mate? I've managed to make another podcast. This is a miracle.
I know you jumped on briefly when we had a Nicholson on a little while ago, and yeah, you managed to get on today. So good.
I know, mate. I know. I'm trying to. It's this content, mate. We keep churning it out, mate. So, got to do my part. But obviously, we're here to review Monday Night Raw ads.
Yes.
But before Monday Night Raw started, obviously it was really early hours of the morning for us in the UK. I stayed up and watched most of Raw. I couldn't watch it all because I had to be up really early for work, but I couldn't sleep, so I put some of it on. The big news before Monday Night Raw, my friend.
Yeah.
CM Punk was backstage. It was in Chicago. Apparently Punk was, I've seen a few things flying around the internet as well. There's pictures of him out in the parking lot. Apparently he was backstage talking to Hunter, and Vince then politely asked him to leave the arena, and you can kind of see why. He's AEW, still employed by AEW. Vince probably doesn't need that kind of shit on his doorstep kind of thing. He's in enough trouble. He doesn't need AEW. But mind you, it's a free country. CM Punk it's not like he appeared on TV. But before we get into our Raw review and break down everything that happened, what did you think? The internet's a great place. CM Punk suddenly appears in a parking lot in Chicago, and all of a sudden he's leaving AEW. He's coming back to WWE. They're like, well, he's coming back. He's bound to be back. No. Pump the brakes. I know you have some info on it, Ad, from things you've seen, but what did you make of what you saw with a certain CM Punk being backstage at a Monday Night Raw in Chicago?
Of course. Well, I was on a podcast, funny enough, one of our podcasts with Sal and Fiona from NWA, and the phone just lit up because we were getting messages left, right, and centre. My initial feeling was like, well, what does it matter? I mean, we know he weren't going to appear on TV. He's under a lengthy contract with AEW, which they're going to probably add to it because of his injury. So he was never going to appear on TV. Yes, I was interested. From what I've read, he caught a flight in Florida. He was doing the cage stuff. The guys were on there. Some of the Raw guys are on there. He got talking. They put him backstage. He squashed beef with The Miz. Spoke to Hunter briefly, tried to get another word, and then Hunter had to call Vince, and then Vince, said it. So I wasn't really like, oh my god. I was intrigued. But part of me thinks not necessarily a publicity stunt as much, but I think what Punk may be trying to do is sort of say to like people like the Elite, look, I went back to the WWE. I wanted to build my bridges there, and I want to do that with you guys. Contractually, I think there's an issue that he can't reach out to them, so maybe he was using that as a segue to say, look, I want to build my bridges with you guys as well.
Yeah, he's very clever. You know what I mean? I mean, it was reported this week that CM Punk apparently hasn't built any bridges with anyone at AEW. I think his comeback's been moved forward from what I was reading this morning. So it looks like we could be seeing CM Punk on AEW television very soon. Within the next couple of weeks, he'll be on. So they need, to be fair, they need him. I mean, I listened to your AEW review show last week, and you spoke about the product, and I think they need him, but they need to do it in the right way. It needs to be right but you can't bring one person back to piss off another 10.
No,
you know what I mean? So, Tony Khan needs to be very careful what he does. And I think you're right. It was him saying, look, if I want to go back to WWE, I'll go back to WWE. And they would take him at the drop of a hat because it'd be a bit like back in the day when the Monday Night Wars. It's like, well, he was on AEW TV last week. Now he's on WWE, Nitro and Raw and Yadi. We know how that all panned out. I don't know if it's the whole 90-day no compete, if that's vice versa with AEW to WWE. I mean, they let Regal come back and they said they waived that because he wanted to coach his son. He wasn't going to be on air talent. But this is CM Punk going to be on WWE, potentially on WWE TV. I can't see it happening in a million years. I think he goes back to AEW. I think he headlines at Wembley Stadium this coming summer. And I think it's all just very smoke and mirrors and very cloak and I think the internet is a crazy, crazy world at the best of times, as we know. I think it's just a mountain out of a molehill. It's in Chicago. He popped along to see some friends. He wanted to burn some bridges, let bygones be bygones, and get on with his life.
Yes.
That's not to say in 5 years' time, 6 years' time, he doesn't come back to WWE, get put in a Hall of Fame one day. I think that's inevitably going to happen. But for now, I think we can park it. Triple H will know now that he could, if he wanted to open a dialogue with Phil, with Punk, that is there. He can pick up the phone. He can send a text message. I don't envisage him never being in WWE ever again, but I think for the foreseeable, he's going to be in AEW, and he's got to build some bridges there. But yeah, it was interesting before Raw had even started. I then dozed off. I didn't really get to watch too much of Raw. Caught up with it over the last few days. Cody kicked off Raw.
Yes.
Good solid start to the show. Comes out basically next. He's taken off his shirt. He's talking about scars, and if Brock Lesnar wants to add to his scars, and it's a fairly good promo. Then they thing they done here. Then I reckon they've given away what's going to happen at Judgment Day. Maybe Finn Balor comes down and gives it the whole speech about you didn't have any help at WrestleMania. You may need it at Backlash. You should join the Judgment Day. In my head, straight away, I'm thinking, oh, if he says no, the Judgment Day are going to cost Cody the match at Backlash. He's going to maybe go into a feud with them. We don't know who's getting drafted where. Or are they just going to, it's going to be filler? Because obviously this pay-per-view happens after the draft. I was kind of thinking in my head, please don't go down this route of Cody and the Judgment Day. And, what did you make of it? Where are you now with the whole Cody, Brock? We'll get to a certain Triple H announcement in a minute, because that's going to kind of segue into where we're going. Everyone knows the announcement by now, but where are you with the Cody, Brock, Judgment Day kind of involved? Because Finn basically said to Cody, well, if you're not with the Judgment Day, you're against. I should do it in a really, but Jesus, if you're not against the Judgment Day, you're against the Judgment Day. I mean, really bad Irish accent. But what did you make of it, mate?
Yeah, Cody's promo was Cody's promo. We're all used to that now. He's great on the stick. I don't get me wrong. When the thing come out, I'd already seen some of the people just kind of leaked some of the script, which I'd kind of stupidly read. So I kind of knew where they were going with it, because obviously it goes to the main event. I think it wasn't the main event. It goes to a match later on. So I kind of already guessed. Do they get involved at Backlash? I really don't know, because, as you say, because of the draft being the draft coming up, and we don't know who's going where. This show was kind of filler, but it was a good filler, if that makes sense.
I thought it was good.
But Vince rewrote some of it. We know.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard a lot got rewritten like hours before the show, and Vince was.
Some of the women got dropped and they're pissed with it. But hey ho. No, I don't think they're getting. I don't know. I just don't see them getting it unless he does, but it's because of the Triple H announcement, which we'll get back to later on.
Yeah, we are trying to do this in kind of order that Raw happened. I mean, we all know the announcement that we're going to get to. I can't see this match being a clean finish though with Brock and Cody. I can't see them letting Cody pin Brock Lesnar. I just can't see it. I can't see it. I think it's going to be a squashy. Brock could hit him with a chair or DQ, or I think Cody would get the over, but I don't think he's no way is he pinning Brock Lesnar for the 3 count. In my opinion.
I don't think Cody wins at all. I still think Brock wins, but I don't.
Depends where they are. I mean, the draft could be on Raw, one could be on SmackDown, and if that happens, we're kind of like, well, this is just a match, because they're both. This whole pay-per-view's got the kind of. We said it last week when you and I spoke on the SmackDown review show. This pay-per-view just stinks.
It does.
Filler. I mean, the Bad Bunny announcement at the end of the Raw, I know I'm kind of skipping ahead, but I'm not hosting Backlash. I'm challenging you to a straw. I was like, oh my God. That better not be the main event. I swear to God, if Cody Brock isn't the main event, mate, this is in Puerto Rico.
I know.
If Bad Bunny's the main event, I'm turning off. I'll just text me the result, will you? Let me know what happened.
No, they got to go with Cody and Brock as the main event.
Mate, this is a WWE.
I know it's WWE. They're like, oh, this bit.
Oh, hello. Where's he gone?
Oh, there he is. Yeah, I know they're in Puerto Rico, but I can't see them.
Mate, don't say I didn't tell you.
Look, never say never. And you're right. If they do, I'm sure I'll have to take you the result. But
mate, obviously, I'll be gone. We then had the Usos versus the LWO. The LWO are still getting that fairly biggish push. The Usos getting the win over the LWO, which was a fairly good match. The Usos then cutting a promo after the match saying, this Friday, we're getting our tag team titles back. And this one is for our tribal chief. This one, we're going to win it for Roman, which kind of led to a segment later backstage when Sami Zayn was with Jey Uso, if I'm right.
Both of them in the end, eventually.
Well, yeah, eventually, yeah. And he was like kind of saying, well, what happens if you don't win now? And now you brought the tribal chief's name into it. Two things. Did you enjoy the match? I thought it was quite a good match. Again, it was kind of... These kind of things are just leading somewhere at the minute. They're not like matches where I'm invested in the match. I'm invested in the after part of the match of where it's leading to, which is kind of what the Usos done. And then, and then Sammy said backstage, it's like, well, you now brought the Tribal Chief's name into it. I'm guessing we're going to see Roman Reigns on Friday or next Monday. I'm guessing Friday he's technically SmackDown at the minute, is he? But
yeah.
So I'm guessing we're going to see him before the pay-per-view. I mean, I know you text me in the week saying you're not sure now if Roman's going to be at the pay-per-view, which will kind of segue
Not a
into
champions. No.
Yeah,
No.
I don't think that will obviously depending on, again, we'll get to Triple H's announcement in a minute. But where are you with it at the minute? Is it just a case of, we're longing this out till Night of Champions? I mean, I can't imagine Saudi Arabia not wanting to have Roman Reigns at this event. I reckon they've paid gazillions in blood money to get the WWE over there. I mean, Jesus, we have to wait God knows how many years for a pay-per-view. They have 2 a year. We have one every 35 years or whatever it is. A big one. But what do you reckon, the whole shake-up with Roman Reigns, with the Usos mentioning Roman Reigns? I mean, I thought it was quite good. But again, it comes back to that word, are we just having tiny, tiny bits of filler? I mean, I can't see the bloodline breaking up anytime soon, but but then the draft, who knows?
From what I read, USA have demanded the bloodline.
Oh, really? On Raw?
Yeah.
All of them.
All of them.
You reckon they get drafted as they announce it with the 10th pick of the draft? And Raw
Heyman will have something done.
Okay. So all
that's the storyline is anyway. I mean,
because Sammy and KO aren't going to be in Saudi Arabia. They don't travel to these events, so that's going to be. If it's Night of Champions, and like you said, you pointed it out last week, then surely they're losing on Friday because the Usos will take the titles to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, you'd think that.
Night of Champions without the tag team champions.
I mean, I don't know what they've got planned for them. Well, we know kind of what they've got planned for Night of Champions, and we'll segue into that. But maybe that's maybe from the world title perspective, that may be the only thing they got. Maybe Roman might do a celebration of the 1,000 days. I don't know. But the LWO, by the way, one of the top merchandise sellers at the moment. So if you're seeing them a lot on TV, that would be
WWE is so clever right now, and it going to Puerto Rico. Let's bring the LWO back there. Let's make a shit ton of money.
Oh yeah, they're not stupid. So that's probably why we're seeing them a lot more on TV. I kind of think the Usos don't win Friday, and mainly because of the whole what happens if they don't. That's where. I'm going for, because obviously we know at some point we keep saying this, at some point we expect things to go south in the bloodline.
I think if Sammy and KO win, I reckon it could be a kind of segment where the Usos beat the living shit out of them after it. That could kind of set up, well, they're not able to compete at Night of Champions. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, obviously
Sokoa and everything.
They got Backlash as well before. In the 6.
Oh, that's a point. Yeah, that's an actual. Yeah,
with your mate.
Like oh, don't fucking. He was on Raw and all.
No, he was.
That Riddle's on Raw. Great. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I swear to God, if he's involved in this title, that we're going to get to in a minute. But then we had obviously Trish Stratus was then backstage, cut a fairly good promo on Becky. Becky seems to be, is she injured? Because she's been written off TV for a while.
Yeah, I think it's minor. I think it's minor injury.
So because there's, again, I'm guessing they're saving that for SummerSlam now.
Well, yeah, I mean, Lita's been written out of everything. So I don't expect Lita back anytime soon either.
No, I think she's done, mate. And looking at WrestleMania, and she, like we said, hang up your boots. But yeah, I don't know how many of these women going to be on this card in Saudi Arabia. It's always very difficult when the girls go to Saudi Arabia, and I respect we respect people's laws and their cultures and everything like that. They've got to cover up a hell of a lot. And some of the women I know in WWE would want to travel to Saudi Arabia and break down these barriers, and as they should. But I know some of them, a lot of them are like, nope, not going, because it's the whole. We're not going to get into it really. This is the kind of podcast for that. But the women's rights and what goes out on in Saudi. So fair play to some of them. They're like, no, I'm not going. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Some of the WWE talent can't go because of legal reasons, and they've got criminal convictions,
religious
reasons, and there's all sorts. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do at Backlash. Obviously, you've got. It was obviously announced that Bianca's now going to go up against Io Sky at Backlash. Obviously, you've got Rhea Ripley. So they're going to be well represented at Backlash. I mean, it's going to be good. Our guys, the Street Profits, went up against Shelton Benjamin and
Cedric.
Cedric Allison. Yeah, that was a weird one for me to suddenly shout. It's like, hello, Shelton Benjamin's still around. It's like, love the guy. I think he's a great talent, but it's like he seems to have been in WWE forever, and he hasn't really been used in anything for God knows how long. And then all of a sudden, I'm catching up on Raw, and I'm like, me, Shelton Benjamin's there with Cedric Alexander. The Street Profits win. Fairly good match. Again, though, I'm not quite sure. I think, like you said a couple of weeks ago, I think they're going to split them up in the draft.
Yeah.
Are you still of that ilk?
Definitely. I think that was their kind of just giving them, because they were the ones that got added because they were going to have Piper Niven versus Candice LeRae, I think. That got dropped in favor of this. So I'm assuming it's like kind of like the last hurrah for the Street Profits, unless they go on SmackDown Friday and compete, just because obviously there's matches still going on, isn't there?
Yeah.
So unless they do that, I mean, they could still compete on Raw next week. Don't forget, there's draft 2 nights, so they don't necessarily have to be drafted Friday. So yeah, I think it's kind of like giving them the last, hurrah before they. At least they're not splitting with a turn either. It's kind of like you're on separate brands. So
yeah, we're not going to see them 1v1 like they do with some tag teams, and then they have a little feud at a pay-per-view that no one really cares about, and then they move on. But yeah, let's get to it. As we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, do they split up the titles? Does when Triple H says that it's going to shake WWE to its core this draft? You and I were on this very podcast thinking and saying, do they split up the belts? Do they maybe invent a new belt? Lo and behold, I was chuckling away to myself when I was flicking through Raw, and lo and behold, Triple H comes out. He says a new champion will be crowned at Night of Champions, somewhere that can be defended around the world, night after night. So whatever brand Roman is drafted to, he will stay there with the Universal title, and then we will get a World Heavyweight Champion in this new belt. Now, before I get to the whole announcement, please tell me I'm not on my own, ads. Did WWE just release the AEW title belt just with the WWE logo? With the WWE logo in the middle? Am I batshit crazy?
No, it definitely looked that way. I got a bit of abuse on me because I said it was hideous.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I just think it's. I saw it and just straight away, and I was catching up with Raw the next day, so I kind of flicked through Twitter. Everyone was like, WWE just revealed the AEW title with their logo on it. And when you look at it, and loads of people have done the comparison side by side, you're kind of like, yeah, they pretty much just
yeah, they pretty much did.
But what did you make of Triple H's announcement? You and I said it a couple of weeks ago. They said Roman's going to get to the 1,000 days now. We all know that.
Yeah.
What did you make of the announcement? Who would you like to see as the first not the first, but of this new, title? Yeah, the new title. Who would you like to see as the World Heavyweight Champion? It's going to be crowned at Night of Champions. So I'm going to kind of guess they're going to go with a fatal a tournament or a fatal 4-way or something that's going to involve Seth, Cody, Brock, and another. I reckon Bobby Lashley, because I reckon
they owe him one.
Yeah, I think they are. I think he's involved in it somehow, just because I think Austin Theory retains the US title at Backlash. What did you make of the announcement, ads? Were you surprised? What are your thoughts on it? What would you do? Who do you want to see win it? It's opened up a whole can of worms that's going to be good for wrestling fans. It's about time they split up the titles. You and I mentioned for many, many weeks when we were growing up, the main event of Raw and SmackDown always somehow involved the World Heavyweight Champion. Tag team match, single match, 3-way, 3-on-3, something. Are you happy with the Triple H announcement? It wasn't 3 bad shit announcements in a row.
Yeah, no, it was certainly needed announcement. Obviously, again, going back from what I read, USA want Roman. They don't care about a champion because obviously with Roman, I think they've kind of got it just long enough that they've had the US as their main title. So, but although they could get Gunther, and then maybe that's
if he does go to Raw, then you could kind of already in your mind start thinking about the draft. Cody to SmackDown, Seth Rollins to SmackDown.
Yeah, exactly. Thoughts on it? Yeah, it's needed. They need, the other thing I've heard is that they're now going to do what they call the hard split draft, where even the premium live events are split between Raw and SmackDown. Again, like they used to do. I don't know if that's going to happen. Again, you always take these things with a pinch of salt when you read them, but they could do that. I think it's great, and I also think it helps us for Money in the Bank because you'll have the world title being defended, which could also involve the cash in at the same time. It doesn't necessarily have to be Roman. I can't see Cody winning it because I still think he's going to stay wherever Roman is. He'll be, and I still think that he will eventually finish the story.
WrestleMania next year, yeah,
maybe. Who I'd like would be Steph. I think someone. Let's face it, they've fed him shit recently, and you know what I mean.
They're definitely feeding him shit at Backlash.
Yeah. Do you know who wouldn't surprise you? Will hate it, but do you know?
I swear to God, if you say what I think you're about to say, you and I are no longer friends.
you know.
I ain't coming out for your birthday in 2 weeks, mate. I can't make it.
Yeah, Logan Paul. As you know, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. A slim shout is Edge. Just one out of left field.
Yeah, and his career as a champ.
He said he's come out the other day and said he's got 1 more year left. He reckons he's got 1 year at the elite level left. So maybe.
Or thinking outside the box. The box.
Or Finn Balor, maybe. He hasn't really had a run, has he? He got injured and he had
he had it for like 3 days.
Yeah, so maybe they'll do a Seth versus Finn, maybe versus Brock. The funny thing, wouldn't it be funny if they put Roman in it and he won it and he held up both feet?
That'd be a fucking riot.
I've seen that on Twitter. And
one of the Usos could be given a singles push.
Jay or Solo if they want to put him.
And then the whole the Soul Bloodline thing.
You could literally have Night of Champions going off the air with Roman as the world, the Usos as the tag, and Solo as the heavyweight.
Yes, clip that, Munzy, when that goes up. That could be a shout, Adam. You may have just predicted the future, my friend. But yeah, I like the announcement. I'm glad they've done it. You and I have been speaking for weeks and weeks and weeks that they need to do this. It's been good seeing Roman have the run. I mean, I know a lot of my friends. I know Ryan, who listens to this, and Malcolm, a lot of my mates, they're like, no, it needs to end now. It's getting boring. I'm glad they've let him get to the 1,000 days, with both titles. It's kind of made me even more intrigued for Night of Champions. I kind of not flit in and out with these kind of pay-per-views like Backlash and Night of Champions when they take them around the world. And, I sit here as someone that's going to watch Money in the Bank in London. But I think these kind of ones in Saudi are just kind of like, yeah, do you know what? We're here for the money. It's quite okay shows. But if you've only got to go back and look at in the past, they've put Shawn Michaels out of retirement, for God's sake. The Undertaker and Kane come out, one of the worst matches against DX I think I've ever seen. So I don't hold too much value on these pay-per-views, but the Triple H announcement for me, I would personally like to see someone like Seth. I'm going to throw John Cena in the mix.
Oh, Jesus! Well, speaking of that, thanks for the follow, John.
Yeah, thanks for the follow, John. John Cena followed the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on Twitter.
I said that
you can do the same at HTT Buckle.
Exactly, and just segue, and I said that to Nicholson. I forgot to tell him off air, and I told him in the middle. I said, "Look, no pressure, mate, but this is the first one."
John Cena follows us on Twitter, but no, we can't get him on the show. He's contracted to
contracted.
But John, if you're listening, the offer's there, my friend. You're always welcome. You're always welcome. But yeah, I was pleased with the announcement, mate. I thought it was quite good. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. How they announce the matches. Is there a tournament? Is there we're going to see what's going to happen. Damage Control then took on Bianca, Raquel, and Liv. Not going to lie, kind of zonked out during this match. The interesting thing was that Bayley got pinned. I know the wrestling Twitter world. I saw Dave Meltzer tweeting, "Oh, what are they doing with Bayley? They're squashing her now. She's getting pinned on Raw." I'm like, well, it happens. I mean, what did you make? Obviously, they announced Bianca versus Neo Sky at Backlash. Any interest at all in that ads? On a scale?
The one-on-one match, yeah. I mean, Io's a good competitor. There's no doubt about that. So I think singly, she's much better than she is in a tag. Bianca's Bianca. She's great. Doesn't really, she's done really, amazing things over the last year. So, even before that in NXT. So, yes, there's interest. The match itself, you kind of knew they were going over. It was just a case of who got the pin and who won. It's better that Io didn't get pinned because you have to keep the champion strong, or the challenger strong, anyway, going into this. does it really matter that Bailey got pinned? I don't think so. Yeah, I mean she's floundering a bit, but she was out for a long time, and you've got to get back into the schedule. You've got to get those cogs moving again on a regular basis. So I think maybe the draft they split them, and then she may go back to SmackDown because she was great on SmackDown during the pandemic era. That was great. So yeah, maybe that. But I wasn't really cared about the match. But I've got a little interest in the what title match.
Yeah, I'm kind of. There's not much I'm interested at Backlash.
No.
I'm not going to lie to you. I might not even watch it live, to be honest. I've got the Dunstable.
It's a Saturday.
Yeah, I've got the Dunstable Town Awards that night, mate.
Oh, the good old done. Speaking of that, quick shout out, Canvey, playoff semi-final.
Yeah, good luck on the Canvey. Good luck on
Wow.
the Canvey Island. Yeah, unfortunately, my Dunstable team finished fourth in the league. Didn't make weird how they do it in our league, mate. You got to play the team from the league above. Anyway, I digress. Austin Theory come out and cut a promo. Fairly good promo. Bobby Lashley then gets involved. Bronson Reed comes out, squashes Lashley, squashes Austin Theory off the top rope. Looks like that Bronson Reed could be getting that push that we spoke about a few weeks ago. I'm all in for that. I mean, I know a lot of people don't really get him. I'm like, no, I think he could be one of the future. The US title will be good for him. That US title always seems to, and Austin Theory could get segued into the world.
Yeah.
So potentially, I know we spoke last week about maybe no titles being dropped at Backlash. Potentially now, if they want to get Austin Theory away with off to the world heavyweight title mix, could we see the US title change hands at Backlash now?
Yeah, I think it's opened up more possibilities now. I think now that title's been announced, I can't see. I mean, if Gunter even got an opponent, I don't think so. I can't see him dropping, and I think he will. I still think he's going to go to Raw. Roman will go to Raw, the Bloodline, and they'll just have the Intercontinental title as their main one while Roman's not there. I can potentially now see him dropping that title. Or even maybe not the Backlash, maybe the show after. Bobby might win it. Bronson might win it. I love Bronson Reed. I still love Bobby.
Yeah, I'm with you there, mate.
Listen, Austin Theory is extremely talented. It could be his time. I mean, he could be in that match and he could win it. I mean, nowadays, he's got that kind of momentum. He beat Cena, regardless of how bad the match was. He beat him. So that's the big sort of push, the rub. He's ready. And we'll just see. But yeah, I think it opens up my eyes to the US title potentially changing.
Yeah, that's the only. Maybe now I'm thinking Backlash. Something could happen there. We then had a lot of. We had a backstage segment with Jimmy and Sammy, and don't you worry about my brother and yada yada yada. Then a match I was surprised wasn't the main event of Raw. Finn v Cody. Really good match. Love both of them, really. I watched them two wrestle all day. It's kind of like a pay-per-view style. Cody obviously looking strong going into Backlash. Gets the win. No interference from the Judgment Day, which I thought was going to happen in that. Cody gets the over and goes in strong to Backlash, mate. Seth comes out then. Cuts a really good promo about how it's his time and how he should be the champ and how he wants to fight. And do you think they drop the ball if they don't give this title to Seth? Because if it ain't going to be Cody, we don't know what brand this title's going to be on yet.
Yeah.
But say for argument's sake, obviously, you're not in the know, none of us are. But if it is true about Raw wanting Roman, then we can pretty much say obviously this title is going to be on SmackDown. If Seth and Cody are drafted, I think Seth's the perfect person to start the ball rolling with this World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, I mean, to say it's too early to say whether they'll drop the ball because we don't know who's going to be in it yet. I think Seth needs one over Cody. And again, it still plays the hard times thing, doesn't it? Cody still can't win the big one, and he eventually will. But I don't necessarily think again, it's too early to say whether they'll drop the ball. Cody and Finn was great. The interesting part of it was all three of them was down looking at that title when they were out.
True, yes, yeah.
Which sometimes segues into them having that being involved. Seth is probably more over now with his song and everything else. The match was great. Yeah, I could sit there watching all day. I kind of was surprised there was no interference, but then obviously Priest was going against Ray later, which maybe that was
main event. Yeah,
But I don't know whether they'll drop the ball yet. I think we need to wait until Raw finishes next week. But they may have the supplemental draft after because obviously not all of the superstars are going to be drafted in two shows. They normally have their little bit after. Maybe they'll have one after SmackDown and one after Raw.
Announced
and then we'll have a better idea.
Yeah, obviously Omos come out at the end and fucking,
Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
like, whatever, mate. Yeah,
I found it
okay.
funny. I just left the ring. There was no physical contact. He
No,
just
there was nothing. Even he was just like, fuck this, I'm off. I can't be asked.
yeah.
Then the main event of Monday Night Raw was Rey Mysterio versus Damian Priest. I get why they've done it. It's Puerto Rico coming up. It's, it's Rey Mysterio, it's Priest, it's the Latinos. I get it, the LWO. The match was all right. And as soon as I saw Bad Bunny pull up in his limo, or whatever he pulled up in, I can't remember now. Obviously, Bad Bunny comes out, gets involved, beats the living bejesus out of Priest with a kendo stick. He's popping like a good one on the stage, like he's had 20 bench and edges. He's on the table afterwards, and he announces he's no longer hosting Backlash. He's now fighting Damian Priest in a street fight. Are you keen to see this, mate? Don't get me wrong. The last time Bad Bunny, what was he at? WrestleMania? WrestleMania 38. He was okay, actually. He wasn't too bad. Like the non-wrestlers that they brought in recently, the Pauls and the Bad Bunnies, have actually been okay. But like I said earlier, I swear to God, if this main event's Backlash, who goes over? Do you care? Is this again us just getting to Puerto Rico? Whatever happening happens, it finishes, and then we all move on, and it's the draft, and it's new. It's like this is kind of like leading into day one. We usually have it after WrestleMania, but it's kind of dragged on a bit. Yeah. Is this the end of this little arc that I always talk about? Were you pleased with the end of Raw? I was kind of like, fucking hell, man. Should have been Finn and Cody, but I get why WWE have done it. It's in Puerto Rico. It's Priest. It's Rey. It's the LWO. All great talents, but I'm just kind of like, there's something missing for me from this.
Yeah, I mean, they've got another week yet, so this wasn't even the week before the pay-per-view.
True.
So
yeah,
to have, but I mean, I read about Bad Bunny with the street fight with Priest. Again, someone leaked some of the script.
I hate that. You were talking about, and you were chatting to Paul Nicholson. I was like, I hate that about wrestling now. You say, you've literally got to hide your bloody phone in another room.
Yeah.
Don't turn on your laptop. Don't fucking open anything because it will spoil wrestling.
It will. I mean, Bad Bunny come out, looked like he looked like he took his curtains with him that he was wearing with that shirt that was about 100 times too big for him. I'm not really. I couldn't care less, to be honest. That just proves, if anything, it's a filler pay-per-view when you've got a guy from Puerto Rico, it's not a wrestler, going against one of your established talent. Again, an outside chance, depending on whoever they go drafted, is Priest for the title. Again, we could mention a lot of names. There's a lot of names that could go in here. We forgot Chad Gable had another great match with Ali.
Oh, man, that dude's awesome.
I mean, I won't put it on Gable, but I'm just, saying. I don't really care about it. Will I enjoy it? Probably, because it's a street fight and they'll get away with doing stuff.
Oh, everyone's going to be involved. The LWO are going to be involved.
You wouldn't get, if it was a one-on-one, I wouldn't have given two craps. I probably wouldn't have even watched it. But it's a street fight. You're going to have LWO, Rey, Dominic, maybe Rhea. I don't know. Rhea might get involved. Selena might come back and get involved. So it will serve its purpose. And I think I agree. I think it's like the arc. And it kind of the end of the arc and the start of the new arc starts technically after the draft, but they'll probably say this takes effect probably after Backlash, I would have thought.
Yeah, no, most definitely. But so that's how Raw went off the air. I think they advertised Brock Lesnar is going to be on Raw next week, so it's going to be an interesting. Obviously, the draft is this Friday on SmackDown and Monday next week on Raw. Adam, just briefly, mate, before I get out of it, I've got to go back to work. What have we got coming up for the rest of the week, buddy?
Jesus Christ, I need to get the Google Calendar. Christ almighty.
My Google Calendar literally just says hitting the turnbuckle.
So does mine. That's why I set up a separate one. Hang on 2 seconds. Paul Nicholson's emailed.
Oh, what a legend!
He was a great character. Okay, so tomorrow it's Rusev Day for us.
Rusev Day.
8 o'clock. So make sure you can make this one. Aiden English, Matt Raywold. I need to ask him how to pronounce it.
Yeah, you're in charge of that one, mate.
That ends this week. We'll just do a couple next week. I'm sitting down with Fiona again and Tony Lacasso from NWA, who's a commentator there. Next Thursday, we are at 8:45, Flash Morgan Webster from NXT. I'm back tomorrow with Dave Robinson again, our AEW guru.
Or Dave.
Hi, Dave. Yeah.
Or Dave.
Yeah, we're to do our AEW review. We'll mention Punk in a bit more detail on that as well. We've obviously got our SmackDown review to fit in somewhere, and we're going to need to do it because it's the draft.
Yes, we will. We will definitely be doing
that. That is pretty much the next week. We have more, but we'll do that.
We've got more, but if you want to know more, just go and check us out on Twitter at HTTBuckle. You can find us on Facebook. Just search Hitting the Turnbuckle. Go and buy this month's edition of Inside the Ropes. Scan the QR code. That will take you to our podcast, which will lead you to our Twitter, which will lead us to your YouTube, which will lead you, I don't know where. But Adam, it's been a pleasure talking some Monday Night Raw with you, mate. Glad I could squeeze in some time to talk about some wrestling. Now I've got to go back to work. Pray to God my bosses are listening to this. But Adam, it's been a pleasure, mate. Let's do it all again. I'll be
tomorrow.
Jesus Christ, keep reminding me when we're on next. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I've been your host, Andy Burrows, with the main man himself, Mr. Adam Cousins. Till next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe.